Hey guys, it's Will here, and I'm back at last with another Batrep. It's been a little while, but looking forward to getting filming again. So tonight, playing 1750 point game against Sam. I've got my Biel Tan Eldar, and he's brought out his Iron Warriors. Those of you who saw our first Tale of Four Gamers may remember some of these Iron Warriors, but he's got some new stuff since then as well, by the looks of it. He tells me his list is fairly soft and fluffy, but we shall see. Last time I played him, he was using a Zinch list that almost made me want to just go home and cry. It was horrible. And yeah, I got the Biel Tan Eldar. Should be an interesting list. Got a couple of models debuting here tonight. We haven't rolled for mission yet, but let's have a look at the armies. So down here, two models that you won't have seen on the channel before. Starting off with Asurmen. Never used him before, but should be interesting to see how much of a benefit he is to my Dire Avengers. And then I've got a Farseer on foot, going from my otherwise fairly normal loadout, so he's going to have Natural Leader and I can't remember the name of the other thing. Oh, Phoenix Gem, that's it. And they're leading a battalion detachment. That battalion has got 4 units of 5 Dire Avengers, all with the Exarchs with the double catapults, trying to get as much benefit as I can from Asurmen. Then I've got 2 units of Dark Reapers, both have Exarchs obviously, and this one has a Reaper launcher, this one has a Tempest launcher. And then to transport this, I've got 3 Wave Serpents. One in the middle has the Twin Bright Lance and the Crystal Targeting Matrix, and then the other 2 are Triple Shuriken, and they all have Serpent Shields. Then I've also got a Vanguard detachment. So we've got a Warlock. He's got Doom as his power. No, not Doom. Jinx Protect, the other one. And then my 3 elite units. 8 Striking Scorpions with the Exarch with the Scorpion's Claw. 6 Fire Dragons with an Exarch. And 6 Howling Banshees, which are my other debuting unit tonight. 6 of them with the Exarch with the Executioner. So there it is. 1750 points of Biel Tan Eldar.
Right, so here's my 1750 of Iron Warriors. I thought I'd bring out what I would say is a less competitive, more fun, friendly list for Will for once, after I made him cry with my Zinch Death Ball. So yeah, that's what Zinch Death Balls do. But yeah, Iron Warriors, haven't played with them for a while, and they're cool toys. Although why you would take Fortrines over Helverins, I don't know. So let's run down the list. So battalion, starting with 2 Demon Princes, both with Sinesh, and they are WYSIWYG. So one with 2 talons, one with a sword. The one on the right has Delightful Agony, and the one on the left has Warp Time, because why not take Warp Time? And then for troops, you don't see these often enough, so I thought I'd bring them. There's a unit of 8 Space Marines and 2 units of 5 Space Marines. The 2 units of 5 have Combi Melter, and the 8 are just combat weapons. And there's 2 Rhinos to carry all of them just with the Combi Bolters. One has broken though, which is sad. Onto my Spearhead, that's being led by a Chaos Lord, and he'll be my Warlord with the Unholy Fortitude Warlord trait, giving him the +1, is it wounds? Yeah, +1 wound and 6 up fear and pain, I believe it is. I've got 3 Obliterators, because Obliterators. 5 Havocs with 4 autocannons, because they're cool, but I've never really seen them, so I thought I'd give them a try. A Mauler Fiend, because Mauler Fiends are cool. And 2 Forge Fiends, Binky and Bertie. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool, it's a cool list. I mean, as I said, you wouldn't take these over Helverins normally, but for the same points, they're alright. My artifact will be the Flesh Metal Exoskeleton on this one, giving him a 2-up armor and regenerating wounds, I believe it is. So, yeah, that's 1750 of Iron Warriors. Moving on to deployment.
So tonight's mission is from the tournament pack for a tournament Sam's going to in a few weeks' time. And looks pretty cool actually. It combines both Eternal War and Maelstrom with some additional tertiary objectives. So the one we've rolled up uses Dawn of War deployment, so 12 inches on from the table edge on either side, and then the primary is Eternal War Scorched Earth, so 1 command point, 1 point scored for every objective you hold at the end of the turn. And then the Maelstrom element of it is targets of opportunity, so you can only score the cards in the turn you draw them. You have a turn and they're gone. Finally, it's got some tertiary objectives, which consist of 6 objectives that you can choose from. The ones I've chosen are fire for effect, so kill 3 units in one shooting phase, which I think the Eldar have a good chance of doing. Then there's marked for death. You pick 3 units at the start of the battle, and you have to kill them from your enemy's army and kill them by the end of the game. And the final one is that I've chosen is called Vanguard. You have to get 3 units into your opponent's deployment zone, and that's scored at the start of your turn, so effectively they have to last in their turn. I think Sam's gone for the same first 2 as mine, and I think his other one is lead from the front, so he has to have his warlords score an objective that's outside his deployment zone. Just a note on my warlords, although I'm running Asurmen, the Farseer is going to be the warlord. Anyway, I think that's all. Let's get into deployment. So we're all deployed here. I put my Fire Dragons and Striking Scorpions in reserve, using a command point for the Webway Strike for the Dragons. And then the majority of the rest of my force sits in my 3 Wave Serpents. So this one has Asurmen, 1 unit of Dark Reapers, 1 unit of Dire Avengers. Farseer, 1 unit of Dire Avengers. The what they called Howling Banshees and the Farseer. And then the Warlock, another unit of Dire Avengers and another unit of Dark Reapers, and then just 1 squad in here that didn't have any transport. Sam's only reserves are his obliterators. Now, are they Mark of Slaanesh obliterators? Everything's Mark of Slaanesh, right. But yeah, Mark of Slaanesh obliterators can be nasty. So he's got his Havocs there, backed up by his 2 Forge Fiends and 1 of his DPs. The other DP is hiding behind this rock with the Rhinos, and then he's got his Mauler Fiend on the end there. As for marked for death units, I've marked for death the Mauler Fiend and both the Rhinos, and he's marked for death the 3 units of Dark Reapers that are in the transports. Dire Avengers, sorry, not Dark Reapers, Dire Avengers, because basically he got to choose them before I deployed, so the 3 marked units got the transport and the one that didn't get stuck out in the open. I've got the +1 to go first, and yeah, this should be a good game. It's a 4. It's a 3. Eldar are going first unless Sam wants to seize. He does not seize. Here we go then with Eldar, turn 1. So we took first turn, and I was a little bit cagey, didn't want to put too many of my Avengers in risk, in danger in the first turn. My objectives were going to be pretty tough. Psychological warfare against a mech list, advance when I've got Dark Reapers, and mission critical objective, which was objective 3, which is pretty much under that Forge Fiend over there, so that weren't going to happen. So I just concentrated on doing some damage and staying alive. Avengers got out, sorry, Reapers got out, grabbed objective 2. These tanks moved forward, grabbed objective 1. Other Reaper unit got out, but my characters and Avengers stayed in their transports. These guys ran up but weren't able to get in range, and shooting wasn't as effective as I'd have liked it to be. This Wave Serpent completely woofed against the Mauler Fiend, and this Wave Serpent completely woofed against the Forge Fiend. But this one was able to kill a couple of the Havocs, and then some Dark Reapers finished them off, so yay, first blood. And over here I managed to put 6 wounds onto that Forge Fiend, the one in the middle there, with this Dark Reaper unit, so not a complete failure. Still got some units in reserve, and yeah, my tanks are going to protect me this turn, I think, although I fear these guys are going down, but at least they won't be first blood. So yeah, it's 3 points in total, and we go on to the Iron Warriors' first turn. So a deadly first turn for the Iron Warriors here. His objectives were no prisoners, area denial and master the warp, all of which he was able to do. So started off bringing his obliterators in on the edge of his deployment zone, and then the Demon Princes, Rhinos and Mauler Fiend charge forward. Always catches me out how fast the Mauler Fiend is. It looks big and slow, but it gets there and gets there fast. Shooting wiped out these Dire Avengers with the obliterators, and then the 2 Forge Fiends targeted this Wave Serpent here. No, one of them targeted it. They did both. Left it on 2 wounds left. And then the Obliterators used a stratagem that allowed them to fire a second time and reduce this Wave Serpent to just a couple of wounds. Then the Demon Prince and Forge Fiend charged in and blew up the Wave Serpent in combat, which exploded, killing that Wave Serpent and 2 Dire Avengers along with it. So a nasty little turn there. He's got 2 regular points, he's got a D3 to roll, and then he's also got 3 points for objectives. Do you want to roll that D3? So that's just a 1, so that is a total of 7 points, because he also gets the point for effectively First Blood. Apparently you can, in the tournament he's practicing for, both players can get it, and if one player doesn't, then the other player gets a bonus point. So that's pretty cool. Makes you play aggressively from the get-go. So yeah, that's blown a hole in the middle of my army, but this will be good to see how the Avengers plus Asurmen and a Farseer combo really goes when faced with something right up in my face. Also got the Scorpions and the Fire Dragons to bring on, so yeah, let's see how that goes. So, start of my turn, I had 2 copies of Objective 6, although one was Defend and one was Secure, and then also had Assassinate. But the bigger problem was a Demon Prince and a Mauler Fiend right up in the middle of my army. But now was time for the Eldar to strike back. So Objective 6 itself was right out here in the wilderness, and although I could have done something with it, it wasn't going to be my best chance to pull off something game-winning. So instead what I did was bring on my Fire Dragons over here and then create a little cluster whereby all of these units of Aspect Warriors are within 6 inches of Asurmen. You can see these guys are disembarked, as has the Farseer and Asurmen himself, although obviously the Farseer was forced to last turn. And then I brought this Wave Serpent over to this side and my Scorpions on at the back there. Then in the shooting or psychic phase, targeted the Demon Prince primarily, Doom and Smite, and then took some mortal wounds onto, not Doom and Smite, sorry, Doom and Jinx, then put some mortal wounds on the Mauler Fiend. Then Fire Dragons wrecked the Mauler Fiend, and then the 2 units of Dire Avengers and a few shots from the Reapers finished off the Demon Prince. A couple more of the Reapers went for the Forge Fiend, did a couple of wounds there, and then the second Reaper unit and the Wave Serpent targeted that Rhino with a hope to get a 3rd kill this turn, but unfortunately that was not to be. It's left alive with just 1 wound. It's a bit of a pain, but you know, we'll survive. Assault phase worked out pretty nicely. The Scorpions were able to pull off a charge, did lose 2 on the way in and a further 2 in combat, but then Mandy Blasters did 4 mortal wounds, so even though I didn't actually do any further wounds, that's still pretty decent, and did have to burn a command point to stop them running away though, because the -1 to leadership for being next to a Slanesh unit. So all in all, not a bad turn. I got 3 more points. Got 1 for the Assassinate on the Demon Prince, 2 for the objectives I'm holding, 1 and 2, and then I think I get additional victory points for taking out the Mauler Fiend. Because I have to take out all 3. Oh no, Sam's just informed me I have to take out all 3 over the game to get any of those points at all. But that's alright, we're working on the Rhinos for that. But most importantly, those Obliterators are tied down fighting the Scorpions now, so they're going to have to retreat this turn. Anyway, on to turn 2 for the Iron Warriors. Chaos turn 2, and Sam's objectives were a Chaos specific one that involved killing characters. He also had behind enemy lines and secure objective 1, which is down here being looked after by Asurmen. So his first thing was obviously pull the Obliterators out of the combat with the Scorpions, so that saved them from another round of attacks and Mandy Blasters, but did mean they couldn't shoot this turn. And then he forgot to move his Rhino out of combat with the Wave Serpent, but it's not a biggie, it's only got a Stormbolter. Down here, this Chaos Space Marine squad was 8 strong. It disembarked and headed straight for the Dire Avengers. They shot the smaller squad, only killed 1 of them, and then charged the larger squad, lost 2 on Overwatch. What can I say, Dire Avengers do Overwatch well. And then he rolled a whole bucket load of hits with all these pistol and sword armed guys, and then rolled nothing but 1s and 2s to wound on about 10 dice. It was terrible. What can I say, mate? That sucked. So no Avengers died. but the Demon Prince did get into fight with the Scorpions, who were also killed by that Forge Fiend. Other Forge Fiend had shot for the Dark Reapers down here. I went to lightning fast reactions to give him -1 to hit, and as a result only lost one guy. So they can't fail their leadership. They can't fail their leadership. Yeah, no leadership text to take for me, but I think he might need one for the Chaos Marines. 2 guys? Oh no, they're fine. They ain't going anywhere either. So yeah, he did get about another 2 points for holding objectives. So that brings you up to how much now?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So he's on 9 points at the moment. As we head into the third Eldar turn. Okay, third turn. I've got Defend 3, Secure 2 and Area Denial. So what did I do? Well, I wanted to tie up those obliterators again. Actually, I wanted to kill them, but tying up will work for now. So the Banshees, as you can see, ran all the way over here, so fast, coming out of that Wave Serpent all the way across here. Other than that, pulled these Dire Avengers out of combat, and then encircled what was left of his Chaos Marines that were out on foot, and wiped them out with the Fire Dragons and the characters and the other Dark Reapers, Dire Avengers. Then the Reaper units both went for the Forge Fiend over there, and left that on about 2 wounds left, I think. So that's not too bad. And over here, the Wave Serpent backed out of combat and finished off that Rhino and put some wounds on that one as well with its Serpent Shield. So there's 2 of the Rhinos, 2 of the 3 units I have to kill are now gone, and I'm starting to push him back. In combat, the Banshees were able to only kill just one of the Obliterators, despite my Farseer having doomed them, but that's okay. Unfortunately, the Demon Prince piled in. I was a little bit too close to him, and so he was able to kill a couple of the girls, but not bad for their first charge, and killed an Obliterator and locked them down for next turn. Demon Prince will have to do some work to finish me off this turn as well, and the -1 to hit certainly helps them on the counter. Points wise, I got Secure 2 and Area Denial for 1 each. Defend 3 is going to be an impossibility because there's a freaking Forge Fiend sitting on top of it, and I also got points for that objective and that objective. So by my reckoning, that is 4 points this turn. That brings me up to 10 as we go into the third Chaos turn. So Sam's 3 objectives this turn: overwhelming firepower, defend objective 1, and for the Dark Gods, which is basically kill a unit. And he did kill a unit. This Forge Fiend fired at both the Fire Dragons and the Dire Avengers that were down here. He killed the 2 Avengers despite their invuns from Asurmen, but it did save some of the Fire Dragons, so there's only 1 casualty from there. So that got him 2 points for that. The other main things were this Forge Fiend. What did that shoot in the end?
This one?
Missed. It missed with everything. We can't even remember what it shot because it literally missed with everything. And over here, these 2 units that disembarked from the Rhino both have a melter gun, and both have 2 melter guns because you've got combis on the champions, and they all either missed, failed to wound, or saved. No, didn't even save. All either missed or failed to wound against the Wave Serpent. So unlucky, but hey, that's Wave Serpents, and that's luck with dice. This Rhino that had been transporting them sprinted over here to get onto objective 5. And over in here, the Banshees were almost wiped out by the Demon Prince and Obliterators. That -1 to hit for Banshees is really nice, meaning that those Obliterators are not in the best of positions, and I've still got the option of falling back out of that combat this turn. So all in all, not the best turn for Sam. He did get 2 points for the cards, and yeah, I'll need to take a leadership for the Banshee in a second, and then he'd also got 1, 2, 3 for objectives, so still a 5-point turn, but yeah, not as much damage as he'd have liked. And leadership for the Banshees is a 5 plus the 3 I lost is 8. They're fine. Yeah, on to the next Eldar turn. Right, 4th turn and time to press my advantage. I got Secure 1, Combined Strike, which is basically get a point for every different phase you kill something in, and then Supremacy. So this was the only unit that stayed still, the Dark Reapers back here. Everything else jigged around to get better firing positions. Banshee Exarch stepped out of combat, allowing other things to shoot the Obliterators, and most of the forces pushed up the centre here, keeping close to Asurmen, and these guys came over here to threaten the Chaos Space Marines, and the Dire Avengers got out of their transport. Psychic phase didn't go well. Everything that I did successfully cast was dispelled, denied, so that wasn't great, but then the shooting phase went much better. Fire Dragons took out the Rhino, Avengers took out the Obliterator, Reapers took out the Forge Fiend, so that's 3 units in one turn, which gets me the bonus victory points. Over here things didn't go quite so well. The Avengers only killed 2 of the Chaos Marines, but then the Wave Serpent would kill another 2, and the other squad only suffered 3 casualties from the Reapers. But then to add to the destruction, I charged the Avengers in to finish off that squad, and then charged the Wave Serpent in just so he can't shoot his melter gun at me next turn. So points wise, a pretty solid turn as Sam starts to move. I've got Supremacy for D3, which is worth 3 result. I got 2 points for Combined Strike because I killed something in the shooting and psychic phase, and I scored Objective 1. Objectives held are 2, 1 and 4, so that's another 3. So that's, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus I believe it's 2 bonus points, so that may have been an 11-point turn. So this turn, Sam had Word of Chaos, which meant he had to score 3 objectives to get 3 victory points. He also had, what were your other cards? Defend 2, which obviously wasn't going to happen, and Kingslayer, which is even less likely because I'm packing Phoenix Gem on there. So yeah, what did he do with what he had? Well, his Warlord finally broke from cover and started to run towards this objective, which was part of the reason he was able to secure those 3 objectives. In the process, he took a wound off the surviving Banshee Exarch, and other than that, the Demon Prince came over here to threaten the Avengers. Nothing happened in the psychic phase, and then in the shooting phase, this Forge Fiend had a pretty poor time of it, only killed 1 Dire Avenger, thanks to a combination of poor rolling and them having a 4-up invuln next to Asurmen. First time it's really made much of a difference, to be honest. I'm not sure he's quite worth his 175 points. But the Demon Prince had a pretty good turn, killed most of the Dire Avengers. Need a leadership test there. Yeah, they're fine. And backing these guys out of combat meant that he was able to secure that objective. So that's his 3 objectives for 3 points, plus another 3 for holding 3 objectives. 6-point turn, not bad. But here we go with the 5th and potentially final Eldar turn. So my objectives this turn: Hidden Path, which was objective 5, so I just had to keep Chaos guys away from 5. Also had Defend 5 and Defend 1. I actually abandoned 1 to go for the mopping up, so pushed everything forward. Unfortunately wasn't able to quite wipe him out. Neither of the Reaper squads had the best time of it. Only did 3 wounds to that Demon Prince and nothing at all to that Forge Fiend. But I was able to kill off his Chaos Lord with the Dire Avengers, taking some wounds off him, and then Asurmen finished him off in combat. Did put a few wounds on the Demon Prince with the Fire Dragons, so he's down to 2 wounds. And the Wave Serpent finished off the last 2 Chaos Space Marines there, so not quite over yet, but I did get objectives. I've got the Hidden Part, yeah, just checking, yeah, so I've got that, so that's 1 point, and then I'm scoring 2 objectives at the moment, so that's 3 points total, plus 4 for Warlord, plus 1 for Warlord, so that's 4. So yeah, on to the 5th and probably final Chaos turn. So with not much left on the table, Sam's turn was pretty quick. The Forge Fiend only killed 1 Dire Avenger. He's not really done his job properly today, that Forge Fiend, but he has survived well. And the Demon Prince got into combat with the last surviving Dire Avenger Exarch. The Dire Avenger Exarch over there killed him. Have still got that 1 squad there that's intact. So yeah, points wise we're now on 23 to 25 in my favour, so only a narrow advantage to the Eldar. Sam, do you want to roll for ending the game? Okay, I roll. It's a 1, game over, GG. So there we go, a good fun game, a good lot of back and forth, and then finally an Eldar victory. But it didn't look like that way from the get-go, did it? By the end of the first turn, when Sam had a nice haul of points and, you know, taken out 2 of my serpents with his Mauler Fiend and his Demon Prince both getting up in my face really early, I thought it was going to be an uphill struggle. But ultimately, getting those guys so far forward next to my fire base kind of left him a bit overextended, and I was able to counter. Although objectives wise he was actually leading right up until my 5th turn. The objectives fell quite nicely for him and he played to them, whereas I was a bit more focused on killing stuff, and I think ultimately that won me the day in the end, but not without it being a bit of a close scrape. I mean, 25 to 23, you know, a couple of D3s go the other way and it could have been a very different result. To be fair to Sam, he did have some horrendous luck with some of his things. Mauler Fiends, Forge Fiends just failing to do any damage in the shooting phase, and those Chaos Marines. So he gets a squad of them equipped with close combat weapons into close combat with my Dire Avengers. Gets about 10 to 15 hits and then fails to wound with a single one of them. And then the other 2 squads with the melter weapons firing at the Wave Serpent and failing to do any damage whatsoever. I mean, I know Wave Serpents are good at mitigating damage, but you shouldn't be living off, you know, unscathed off 4 melter guns. So yeah, fair play to you, Sam. You played well, and the dice just weren't in your favour today. As for the new units I was trying out, although it was a casual-ish list, I wanted to test out how certain things would go. The Banshees, although they didn't do a lot of damage, I really feel like they did the job I needed them to do on the day. I didn't need them to kill the Obliterators, just wanted them to tie them up for long enough for the rest of my army to do its job. And it didn't matter that they didn't do a lot and died, because they're 80 something points. It was the ability to strike from an incredible distance and tie those Obliterators and the Demon Prince up for a little bit before they went away and did their own thing. So yeah, although it doesn't seem like the best use of them on the day, it did the job. Certainly like to see how they'd go against a slightly softer target or with a bit more psychic support. And as for support, I think Asurmen was a bit overcosted for what he actually accomplished today. There were maybe 3 or 4 instances where I actually passed a save because of him that I wouldn't have without him. And when he got into combat, you know, it was a bit late. The guy's like 175 points, and when you consider 6 Shining Spears with an Exarch is 188 points, so what's that, 13 points more? So for him plus a Banshee, you could instead have 6 Shining Spears. And I know which one is going to do a lot more damage, I think. So Asurmen, maybe someone just to keep around more for fun, fluffy games, or if I'm running a lot of Dire Avenger infantry, and certainly a nice model. Certainly not complaining about the fact I bought him for a £5 off eBay and painted him up. So yeah, Banshees probably would try them again. Asurmen only really for cash games. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.